Hi everyone, myself Professor C.D. Kadhwane, Kewag Institute of Engineering Education and Research, Nashik, Maharashtra State, India. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss the contracts and the different conditions of contract with the detailed tender documents required in case of contracts. Now, basically, in contracts, we already learned in the previous lectures that before proceeding into the contracts, the tenders are called from different uh, contractors, eligible contractors. They fill the tenders, and after filling the tenders, the eligible tenders are selected from the contractor. And whenever these eligible tenders are selected, and when the selected tender, then the letter is sent to the selected contractor or bidder, then agreement takes place between owner and contractor. And whenever this agreement takes place for doing the particular job, then this complete tender is converted into a legal document that is called as a contract. Now let us learn about the different classification of tenders. Number one, open tender, an oral talk or written document between the engineer and the contractor for certain small jobs to be performed. Sometimes it is advertised. Now number two, sealed tender, invited for important or huge projects, and they are given wide publicity, and they are written documents always preferred. Number three, limited tender. Only a selected number of contractors are invited to quote their rates. Next one is a single tender. Invitation is given to only one firm to render a service by quoting their rates. If the quoted rates are high, it will be negotiated prior to the agreement of the contract. Number four, rate contract. Usually adopted for supply of materials, machine, tools and plant, etc. It specifies the supply at a fixed rate during the period of contract. The quantities are not mentioned in type of contract, and the contractor is bound to accept any order which would be placed before him. Now let us learn about the procedure for inviting tenders. So in the procedure of inviting tender, number one is preparation of tender documents. Number two is issue of notice, inviting tender or tender call notice. Number three, submission and opening of tenders and their scrutiny. Number four, acceptance of tender and award of contract. Now let us learn what are the things, what are the information to be given in a standard tender notice. In a tender notice, following information is must. Number one, name of the department inviting tender. Number two, name of work and location, designation of officer inviting tender, last date and time of receipt of tender, period of availability of tender document, cost of tender document, time of completion and type of contract, earnest money deposit to be paid, date, time and place of opening the tender, and the last one, designation of the officer opening the tender. Now let us learn about what are the different contents of a tender document, or what is the index of a standard tender document. So in the contents of tender document, number one is a detailed tender notice. Number two, form of tenderer, that is a letter issued by the tenderer. Number three, notice to contractor. Notice to contractor is the information and instruction for the tenderers. It consists of general instructions with conditions of security deposit, manner of submission of tender and its accompaniment. Here the information about the envelope number one, envelope number two, and if possible envelope number three, information is mentioned. Then in this notice of contractor, procedure of opening of tenders and acceptance of tenders is also mentioned. Number four is a special conditions. Number five, general conditions. Number six is statements. These are the statements to be taken from the tenderer or contractor. In these statements, number one is detailed work of similar type and magnitude carried out by tenderer, details of other works tendered for and in hand, details of plant available with the tenderer, details of technical personnel available with the tenderer. Number 7, declaration by contractor. Number 8, appendix hereinafter referred to. Number 9, conditions of contract. They are very important in any type of contract. So basically the conditions of contract consist general rules and directions for the guidance of contractors. Now in conditions of contract, it consists information about conditions of contract clauses, and they are clause 1 to clause 52. There are different clauses for the different conditions of contracts. So they are having clauses of 1 to 52. Number 10, that is articles of agreement. Number 11, schedule A, that is supply of materials. Schedule B is a memorandum showing schedule of quantities to be executed by the contractor. Number 13, detailed specification or reference to standard specification for each item of work. Number 14, complete architectural and structural drawings to be included in the tender document. Now let us learn about what is meant by contract and what are the objects of contract. So let us define contract in simple terms. So contract is an undertaking, or you can say agreement, by a person or a firm to do work under certain terms and conditions. Now what are the objects of contract? Number 1, the objects of contracts are like this. Number 1, to execute the work by experienced persons. Number 2, to execute work with most competitive rate. Number 3, to do work as per specification. Number 4, to use latest machineries and techniques. Number 5, to have free hand for a supervisor to check the work done by contractor without interference. Now let us learn what are the different requirements of a valid contract. So in examination they may ask a question that state any 4 requirements of valid contract or state requirements of valid contract. So in this question you have to answer in a following manner. First is contract in writing. This is the first requirement. That is, contract should be in writing, contract should be in writing and should be signed by both the parties, that is owner and contractor. Next is subject matter. The subject matter of agreement must be legal and definite. It should be easy to understand, not too complex to understand and execute. Next one is can be enforced in court of law. All terms, conditions, words should be according to law. Next requirement is parties must be competent. The parties signing the contract should be competent enough to carry out the work. Next requirement is free consent of parties. Both parties must give their free consent to do the work as per agreement contract. Next requirement is attested by witness. Contract should be attested by responsible person or officer. Now in case of contract, we have to study different conditions such as general and specific conditions, conditions regarding earnest money, security deposit, similarly time as an essence of contract, time as an essence of contract, conditions for addition, alteration, extra items, testing of materials, defective work, subletting, defect liability period, liquidated damages, retention money, interim payment or running account bills, advance payment, secured advance and final bill. So let us learn one by one. These are the number of different conditions of contract. So first let us consider or let us learn the earnest money deposit. So it is the amount of money to be deposited along with tender document to the department by the contractor quoting a tender. This money is a guarantee against the refusal of any contractor to take up the work after the acceptance of his tender. In case of refusal, this amount is forfeited. So if any contractor refuses to take up any work after the award of contract to him, then this money is forfeited. earnest money deposit of contractors whose tenders are not accepted will be refunded to them. About 1% to 2% of estimated cost of work is the earnest money deposit. Let us learn what is meant by security deposits. So this is also one condition of contract. It is the amount the contractor has to deposit with the owner before awarding a work. After his tender is accepted, this amount is generally 5% to 10% of estimated cost of the project and is inclusive of the earnest money deposit already deposited by the contractor along with the tender. This will be refunded to the contractor after the completion of the project. No interest is paid on security deposit. The contractor has to fulfill all terms and conditions laid down in the contract and maintain quality and speed satisfactorily. If he fails to do so, a part or whole of the security deposit is forfeited by the department. If there is any fault in the construction and the contractor refuses to demolish and reconstruct the work, then the department will carry out that work using the security deposit. If the cost of the project is huge or high, then the contractor is made to deposit only 50% of the amount in the initial stage, and then the rest of the SD is deducted in installments from the running bills of the contract. Security deposit is not collected in case of contract for supply of materials, as the supplied materials becomes the security. Now let us learn about the next condition of contract, that is liquidated damages. What is meant by liquidated damages? It is an amount of compensation payable by a contractor to the owner due to delayed construction. This amount of compensation is not related with real damage. This does not relieve the contractor from his obligations and liabilities under the contract. In case if a part of the project or a premise is used by the owner before its completion, the amount to be paid is reduced in proportion to the value of the part that has been utilized after issuing the certificate of occupancy. Now let us learn about unliquidated damages. It is an amount of compensation payable when a contract is broken. The party who suffers such a breach is entitled to receive this amount from the party who has broken the contract. So in case of breach of contract, the party who broke the agreement or the contract, so that party will be responsible for paying the amount to the party suffering. Okay, so next one is a firm price and firm period. So let us learn about what is meant by firm price and firm period. Sometimes owner award the work at a firm price or a fixed rate. As the labor wages and materials cost increases, it is advisable to provide escalation and overrun compensation in the contract. Firm period is the duration of time over which the firm price is valid. Now let us learn about what is meant by defect liability period. This is also conditions of contract. Defect liability period is the period in which contract is supposed to remedy all defects due to faulty material, bad workmanship. This period is generally adopted as 12 months after completion of work. Any defect noticed within 1 year shall be rectified by the contractor, and if he fails to do so, then department or owner will get it rectified and its cost is recovered from security deposit of contractor, and he refuses to pay the cost. So in examination, generally the questions asked like this, that describe in brief defect and liability clause of conditions of contract. So while answering this question, you have to write down like this: if any work is completed with defective material and poor workmanship and any defects are observed, it is responsibility of contractor to rectify those defects those defects at his own expenses, and if he is unable to rectify those defects, he has been penalized by engineer in charge, or it may be rectified by inviting another contractor at the cost and risk of previous contractor. Now let us learn the different payment methods or different payment conditions in case of contracts. So these are the different payment to be made to the contractor. So there are different types of payments. They are called as interim payment, advance payment, secured advance, on account payment, first and final payment, retention money, reduced rate payment, and final payment. So let us learn about interim payment. A partial payment given to the contractor monthly for works in progress or supply in progress under the terms of contract is called as interim payment. Note that the interim payment is not to be considered as final acceptance of the work. Up to that level, powers are given for the engineer to hold the interim payment under special or any other circumstances. Now let us learn about what is advance payment. The payment made on a running account to a contractor for work done but not measured is called as advance payment. Note that the advance payment is not generally paid to the contractor, but under special case or under special circumstances, advance payment is issued to the contractor on the certificate of the assistant engineer who is in charge of the project work. Second one, note that the value of work done should not be less than the advance payment proposed to be made to the contractor. Now let us learn about another type of advance that is called as secured advance. So an advance payment made to the contractor on the basis of security of materials brought by the contractor to the site of work under construction is called as secured advances. A secured advance. Authority to make the secured advance is in the hands of divisional engineer up to the amount not exceeding 75% of the value of the materials brought to the site by contractor. Amount of secured advance is adjusted in the next running account bill within proportion to that of actual consumption of the materials. Now let us learn about another type of payment that is called as an on-account payment. So let us learn what is meant by on-account payment. The payment made on running account to the contractor for the works done by him or supplies by him which is measured and recorded in measurement book is called as on-account payment. Now let us learn what is meant by final payment. The payment to be made within 3 months from the date of issue of certificate of final completion is called as final payment. After completion of works done by the contractor in all respects, the engineer prepares the final amount of work accurately after deducting all the previous payment made to the contractor. A single payment made for a small job or a small work on its completion is called as first and final payment. Now let us learn about another type of payment, or that actually it is not a payment, it is a hold one amount of the payment to be made to the contractor. That means retention money. Some amount, what do you mean by retention? Let us study. Some amount to be held from the security deposit of a contractor by the engineer in charge when there is any claim for the payment arises out of or under the contract against the contractor is called as retention money. This amount is held up till the finalization or adjustment of any claim is settled. Let us learn about reduced rate payment. The payment which may be granted by the engineer with the reduced rate when contractor completes an item or work not as per the specifications, drawings given in contracts terms and conditions, not as per the terms and conditions, is called as a reduced rate payment. That means contractor's payment sometimes is paid at a reduced rate as compared to whatever agreed in the contract, because he is not following all the specifications or drawings in the contract, and is not with the terms and conditions. That's why these payments are reduced. The work or an item which is not done as per the specifications, drawings given in the prescribed terms of conditions of contract by the contractor, then in such case the engineer may pay the amount with reduced rate, making the remark as the work is structurally sound. Thank you very much for listening my lecture. Thank you very much. Stay at home, stay safe. Once again, thank you very much.